For the past few weeks, my daughter, Eden, has been working on a project about social media. Now, if you've ever spent more than just a few moments with Eden, you know she has strong opinions on many topics. The most important of which is that she is my favorite child, her words, not mine. And as it turns out, my daughter, who does not have an iPhone, her own personal tablet, or computer, has a lot to say about social media. As she has done her research, we have kept having conversations where she explains to me the problematic nature of social media. Eden has even chided me on my overusage of social media, encouraging me to use it less. I did not initially notice, but I have actually lessened the amount of time I have spent on Instagram and Facebook. Yesterday morning, when my daughter practiced her school presentation about this topic for me, I realized just how much her words and comments over the past few weeks have influenced me. I was stunned. In just under a month, my daughter had become my own personal social media influencer, and she did it without the use of any curated videos, flashy photographs, or scintillating graphics. Despite the quixotic efforts of some to make influencing into a paying gig measured in likes, shares, and followers, that's not what truly affects individuals or society. In a world where we are overwhelmed with so-called influencers and virtual visibility, the most profound influences happen quietly and slowly over time through authentic relationships like those we find in our family, with our friends, and in the Jewish community. True influence comes only through emotional attachment, continual conversation, honest dialogue. We must be immersed in relationship with the person or the thing. It is not a single post that changes who we are, but immersion in thoughts and ideas that slowly evolves our sense of self. Recently, there was an article in the New York Times discussing the influence that siblings have on one another throughout their lives. The article mentions that generally, research has been focused on the ways that parents influence their children, but what has been previously ignored or unnoticed is the immense effect of siblings upon one another. The author shared that when she really thought back over her life, she realized that it was because of her older brother's urging during their teen years that she actually became a journalist. It seems so obvious that siblings would have that much influence over one another. They're involved intimately in each other's lives, whether they like it or not, and they share so many of the same grounding principles from their parents. Siblings are often the first teachers for each other, and we know that hand-me-downs are present in more ways than clothing. Whether or not my sons will admit it, while they were listening to Eden's TED Talk on the ills of social media, I saw them both turn off their YouTube videos and use their screen time differently. This week, our Torah portion, Amor, spends a great deal of time describing various rituals and purity laws for priests, which feels a little bit antiquated in our modern non-temple era. But Amor also lays out holy time and observances for specific holidays. Sacred time, as discussed by Soloveitchik, Heschel, and other great Jewish thinkers, is part of how the Jewish people have survived thousands of years. You've seen that line in the Siddur. More than the Jewish people have kept Shabbat, Shabbat has kept the Jewish people. Meaning, By having sacred time that is meant to bring us together, we have gained the ability to stay together. But it's more than the noting of these times on our calendar. It is the way we mark them. When we clear space for sacred time and fill it with contemplative study and communal prayer, we make space to be influenced by all that our tradition has to offer. Shabbat dinners, Passover seders, lighting Hanukkah candles, eating in the sukkah, studying Torah, and yes, even listening to the rabbi's sermons. These are moments that have happened over and over again in our lives, and like the river, slowly cutting a path through rocks, these are the things that are the true influencers of our lives. When we allow Jewish community, Jewish ritual, and Jewish traditions to be the things we are constantly scrolling through, we find that we are guided to be better people, kinder, more ethical, more moral, even more spiritual. If we allow it to, Jewish life and the people we curate it with can hold sway over our lives that will not only impact our day-to-day, but maybe to the world around us. Not through a viral video or a filtered photograph, but through study, care, and time. True influence takes authenticity, time, and heart, something that we as Jews are certainly blessed with a lot of. Can we allow ourselves to be influenced by the joy of Judaism that surrounds us? Can we raise up the influencers in our lives who are always there for us and have always cared for us? Can we pay attention to the gift that our text and tradition has always been waiting to provide to our lives? For now, I will strive just to be as powerful a force for change as my daughter has been for me, and use the sacred time of this Shabbat to listen to the others who can encourage me to be my best self. Shabbat Shalom.